Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Me and my wife recently paid off our house about 3 years ago, and we've been trying to save some money. And we got we got about $175,000 saved up.
Cool.
And we're getting ready to purchase another house, and so I was debating, because I was going to use it for a rental, if I should just go ahead and put the whole $175,000 down on it. The home is about $292,000,
Mm-hmm.
so it'd be over 50% down. But what I was concerned about is whether I should be investing that much into the one home, or if I should leverage myself, keep maybe 50% of that,
Mm-hmm.
and put maybe $75,000 on one home and $75,000 on a second home. And
when
then
you
rent
start
both of them
talking
out.
about rental property, really when you talk about anything, but when you talk about rental property, people particularly struggle with one issue. Here's the thing you have to remember. Debt equals risk. More debt equals more risk. More debt equals lower cash flow, less cash position, and more risk. So if you buy one house with 50% down, you have less risk than if you take out 8 times more debt and spread this over 4 houses. Because none of them are going to cash flow then. This one's barely going to cash flow at 50% down. I love real estate. No, you're full of crap. You've never bought a rental house. I own a bunch of them. Okay?
I understand.
So don't flinch here. The deal is that they don't cash flow. All of mine are paid for, and some of them with repairs and vacancies don't hardly make money. So when you don't get a renter for 4 months, or one doesn't pay for 3 months, or you put in a heat and air system that's $14,000, or you have to put on a roof because it's leaking, and you got to pay property taxes and insurance, even if it's paid for, you don't get a ton of cash flow unless you manage the property extremely well and you buy it cheap. So this idea that the payment versus the rent is the cash flow is a naive formula and an incomplete formula. When you run an actual operating statement on an investment property, you have all these other expenses, including loss due to non-payment and vacancy and legal costs while you evict the people that didn't pay, and all the repairs and all the stuff you didn't think of when you had this idea that you saw on the internet, I want to buy a rental house. So all that to say, I definitely wouldn't buy more than one, and you're not even going to like this. I wouldn't even buy one right now until you have the money. I'd pay cash for it or I wouldn't do it. So I'd save up some more. You've done a really good job saving money, but, it's the grass is not always greener over the septic tank, man. It's just not. So I'm going to tell you, I own a bunch of rental properties, several $100 million worth. Most of it today is commercial. I think we only own about 15 or 20 houses now. We've gotten rid of most of the houses, but we make good money on them, but they're a pain in the butt to deal with. But and I love real estate. As I said, I've got several $100 million in real estate. I love it. I think it's a great investment, but it is an incomplete picture when you don't consider all the expenses.
Yeah, because you got the hassle factor, regardless if it's in cash or with debt, but then you have the risk factor added to it when it's leveraged, quote unquote.
I mean, when your gross cash flow, if it's rented, is a few $100s, you're losing money every year.
Yeah.
In that case. And so, and that's where you're going to put yourself if you leverage into a bunch of properties. And that's how people go broke in real estate. And then they go, well, real estate's not as good. Yes, real estate's an excellent investment, but it is an investment that requires a cash position in order to lower the risk of it. And when you lower the risk, your returns go way up. But that is required that you do this. So our suggestion around here, Bobby, is we pay cash for investments. Real estate, businesses, whatever it is you're going to buy, I pay cash for it, or I don't buy it. And that slows down the speed at which you build your portfolio, but it keeps you from having to do it over from going broke. And when you go do all this leverage stuff, if I'm going to go buy 6 houses with the same money I could have bought one with, and you've lowered your cash flows dramatically, increased your risk dramatically, and one little California upheaval where you are, and you got a serious problem on your hands then. So I probably didn't talk you out of it because I think you got TikTok real estate fever.
But he called in to ask, can I put less down? And you said, you got to put more down. But the good news is you saved up $175,000
I think
real
that's
quick.
amazing.
So here's the filter to look it through. I need to save up $120,000 more. I'm $120,000 short of goal.
Yeah.
That's a solvable problem.
But he's already picked out a house and he's already got the fever. So I doubt I'm talking him out of the tree.
He's already seen real estate mogul in his future.
I'm talking to the rest of the people listening right now.
Oh, man.
Maybe get one of them out of the tree. But you guys get up in the tree, you can't get them out. But I hope, Bobby, you'll wait. If I could convince you that I love you and I want you to win and I want you to own real estate, and I think you did really good getting to 175, and I could convince you that if you'll go slower, you'll have a much greater rate of return over the long haul. That's what the data tells us, and that's what my life story tells us as well. For those of you that don't know, I started from nothing. I bought my first piece of real estate when I was 21 years old. I borrowed as much as I could borrow on all of it up to my eyeballs because I was the leverage king. You think you know something about leverage? I had you dialed in. I could borrow money from people that borrowed money. It was unbelievable. I had $4 million worth of real estate by the time I was 26 with a $3 million debt, $1 million net worth, making $200,000 a year in 1984. And that portfolio bankrupted me. Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.